Welcome back, everybody, for another Wise Take Nation live stream for NASCAR on this second of the back-to-back of a doubleheader. We're here at the Sunday Drydene 311 at Dover International Speedway. Like always, Tom is here. You can find him on Twitter at kartracing_22. Tom, how's it going?
What's up, my friend? Yeah, second half yesterday was a little bit interesting. I had a ton of Chase Elliott, thinking Chase Elliott was just going to go out there and lead like a big chunk of that first stage. And I think he got me, 20-something laps total, and ended up finishing deep in the field. Like, not deep, but outside of the top, or deep into the top 10. So, what are you going to do with that? And then Kyle Busch, he's been the proverbial, do you play him, do you not play him? And I was like, you know what? This isn't the race. If I'm going to play him, I'm going to play him today. What's he do? Goes out and finishes third from 22nd. So, we had a couple of weird things happen. Austin Dillon somehow was the third dominator, starting 32nd, which was pretty wild. He was pretty chalk already, starting that deep. Looks like the COVID made him better, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah, Saturday was interesting today. I mean, the chalk is there. But, we've got quite a few of these really expensive guys that are going to be pretty heavily owned, over the 30% range, or really close to it. So how much of that are you playing? And are you going to try to get an edge on the field by going way under or way over on these guys in tournaments? So you're going to have options. I think you're going to get pushed into the basement a little bit again on this slate, trying to take some of these cheap guys, like some chalk priests. Even some LaJoy at probably over 20%, because you're going to be really trying to be top heavy. So another way you can get different is try to go more balanced. Maybe take a single dominator. I don't think you're going to need anybody really inside of the top 10. They're going to all be dart throws at that point, because you're looking at the guys that finished between 10th and 20th yesterday. They were kind of just blah plays to begin with, and now they're starting a little closer to the front. So how much of that are you going to play? Those plays should be probably sub 15%, except for maybe one or two. Again, it's going to be how much of the chalk are you playing, how are you playing them, and how are you going to start positioning your teams to get a little bit different. Because I think the model is going to probably be 0 to 1 dominators, meaning guys inside of the top 10. You're probably going to really stick more on your basis of these guys starting between 20th and 12th or so. Because you're like, all right, these guys have top 5 upside, and based on price, how much do I need out of them to get there? So, yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting again. You'll be playing a lot of these expensive guys, and just how are you going to position the rest of your team? I think is where you're going to have to get different. You're going to be playing, these 10K and above guys pretty heavily.
Yep. So before we get started, if you're new to the show, please like and subscribe so you know anytime we go live here at Wise Take with any sport. The show goes, we go driver by driver breakdown through each tier, and then we'll take questions at the end. So let's start off with this top tier at Kevin Harvick at 11.7 up top, all the way down to Kyle Busch at 10,000.
Yeah, so, Harvick's the most expensive. He ended up 4th. Harvick was kind of a bummer for me yesterday as well. I had quite a bit of Harvick. He didn't kill you. He got you a 55, but 11.4, I'm wanting a 60 or 70 out of you. So didn't crush you, but, you definitely could have spent down and got a lot more bang for your buck. He started 10th and finished 4th. So he got you 6 positive place differential. But, now you're getting him 17th. Like, if he can go out and finish in the top 5 again, he's going to absolutely smash at 11.7. I think a better shot too, even if the car, if he's able to make the adjustments, like I think he had a track bar issue all day yesterday, was super fast in the first half, got way up there, and then kind of just sat back and rode around the middle of the field for most of the race until, he kind of pushed it there at the end to get him into the top 5. But, so you see top 5, but with a track bar issue, you're like, all right, maybe I can trust that. But I think the guys below him through this 10K range are probably going to be more popular. We can go into Truex next, starting 19th. Truex's finished second. Was the second dominator yesterday. Led you 88 laps at 33 fastest laps. Got you an 82. So I think people are going to try to lean on that. You're going to get 2 extra place differential spots, $400 price savings. So I think that's kind of a saving grace for Harvick because it might make him a little bit lower owned, where you could probably get a little different with him. Somebody probably in that 25 to 30% range, or some of these other guys are going to be like 30 to 45 range. So, like I said, you could a little bit different there. So Truex, one of the chalkier pieces, you're getting him $400 price savings. Chase Elliott, starting 16th, finished 5th. You're like, all right, you got me a 62 at 10K. Like, okay. I would have hoped for a little bit more since you were starting on the pole. But now you're getting all this place differential goodness. So, I think Chase Elliott will be super popular, probably 30, 35%. Hamlin will probably be the highest owned. The dude went out and was just absolutely dominant yesterday. I think it was 108 fantasy points, 106. Led you 115 laps, 61 fastest laps, fastest green flag speed. His pass ratio was solid. Like he could pass whoever he wanted whenever he wanted. So, and they're rolling off the same car. So do you trust the Denny Hamlin? Like I said, somebody that's going to probably be close to 50% owned because you're getting an $1,100 price savings off of Harvick, and you're getting the winner of the race yesterday. So I think he'll be popular. It's like, again, somewhere you can go, say, 25%, or you're saying, nah, on my 20 teams, he's making 75% of them because he's going to win this race again. Like, you're just going to build your teams like that. So that's what I'm saying. These 10K guys are all, you got a little bit of love for all of them. Keselowski probably the lowest owned in this range just because he's starting 12th. Keselowski at 10.4, you're going to probably need something like 40, 50 laps or so out of him, and a top 5 finish or something to pay off. And then, the cheapest guy, Kyle Busch, again, it still kind of feels the same way. I think he'll be more popular today than yesterday. I think he came in yesterday at like 20-something. He'll probably be closer to 30, 35 today because you're looking at him as a cheaper option to even Denny Hamlin, Truex, Elliott, and you're getting right around the same spot, starting 18th, finish 3rd. He goes out and finishes 3rd again at 10K, and maybe sprinkles a few dominator points in there for you, some fastest laps or some laps led. Kyle Busch could get you there. Again, if you're playing mass entry tournaments, you think you're taking big stands on these guys. You're like, I'm going to put these 10K guys in a bucket, and I say I'm going to play at least 2 of them on every lineup. If you wanted to be really basic and keep your core kind of tight, you could do something like that.
Yep. Going to this 9K range, only 4 drivers here. At Blaney at 9,800. Amarola is 9,000.
So, yeah, these are like your tournament pivots off of these 10K guys. Like Ryan Blaney starting 7th, didn't really do it for you yesterday. I played quite a bit of Blaney yesterday starting 20th, expecting Blaney to get me a top 10 and get me somewhere close to 50 fantasy points at 11.8. Like, that was like the bare basics. I was hoping more for like a top 5 finish, 10 place differential spots, or some dominator points and a solid top 10 finish, but didn't really get you there. So now the question with Blaney is the ownership you're going to pick him up at. We're used to seeing Blaney 20, 30%. Probably get Blaney at 10% today because people are like, I'm going to need you to either dominate part of this race or I'm going to need you to pretty much win at $9,800 to pay off. So, again, tournament dart throw, you can throw it at it. Joey Logano still continues to be not like impressive. He's getting you 30s and 40s pretty consistently, but I need more than that. Why am I going to waste my money here? So Logano, I think you're going to get low. Probably in that same boat, sub 10% like Blaney. And, if he goes out and finishes top 5 or so, he could get you there probably at $9,600. So how much faith you got in Joey on day 2? The 10th in green flag speed, it was consistently inside the top 15, but, I don't want to finish like you had yesterday, like 6th, 7th. That's not going to get you there. You're going to need more than that. Jimmy Johnson, a little cheaper. You're getting him 14th. You get the extra spot. Jimmy looked really decent yesterday. Got you 6th. It wasn't a phenomenal day. Again, he was like $8,000 yesterday, and he got you a 38. Like, all right, so that's decent. Like, you'll take that. Almost 5x. Not a spot filler, but now you're paying $1,200 more for him. So where are you going to go with that? He'll probably be somewhere on a 10 to 15% range. He's still kind of a dart throw, but maybe a little safer dart throw because, like, again, a top 6, top 7, finish with those place differential spots probably going to get you there. And then Eric Amarola at 9K. Amarola, I think, would be fairly low owned because, again, wasn't really super impressive. Probably around Jimmy Johnson, 15% or so. Like I said, these guys in the top 10 is where you can get a little bit different. Like, I don't think in cash you're going to play anybody inside the top 10. In these tournaments, it's a way to kind of get a little bit different. Like, you think, okay, Amarola is 9K. He's starting 4th. I think Amarola is going to be the guy that gets around and leads, the first 40, 50 laps of this race and then finishes somewhere inside the top 10 to get you there at 9K. Be like a cheaper kind of pivot dominator. Off of that place differential goodness you got in the 10K range. Like again, these are all kind of dart throws, anywhere between the 5 and 15% range for these guys. And it's like I said, if you're going to say, okay, I want to only take one guy in the 10K range because some of this chalk is just going to bust, and I'm going to get different with some of these guys in the 8,500 probably to almost 10K ranges where you're going to try to get different with these guys that either have some decent place differential difference or some solid potential dominator if you're taking, like I said, one dominator in your lineup.
Yep. And then just like the 9K range, we got the 8K range, an interesting 8K range. Eric Jones is 8,800 down to Clint Boyer at 8,200 with a bunch of different starting positions.
Oh, yeah. So, again, kind of the same thing as we were in this 9K range. Eric Jones, at 8,800, you're looking for like a top 3 finish, or you're looking for, a good handful of dominator points and a solid like top 10 finish. Eric Jones over the last few races, it wasn't really impressive. 12th and 15th, but before that in the 2018, 18th and 4th. So he's decent on these steep tracks. Again, he's one of those ways you can get a little bit different. So like I said, with him being at probably 5 to 10% ownership, that makes him a little bit, kind of like he could be a huge difference maker in tournaments if he does go out there and finish top 3 or lead a chunk of this race and finish a couple spots further forward at $8,800. So again, I'll rank those, top 10 guys once we're done with the show here. I'll rank those guys for your, how you're going to take a throw at them. Alex Bowman, 21st. Bowman's going to garner some ownership just because he's so deep in the field. Probably close to 15, 20%. But again, he's never safe. Bowman, you would hope if he doesn't run into issues, can go out and get you something inside of the top 10 and get you 10 spots. Like, that's all you're really asking for out of him. Bowman has been decent here. Last year's 2nd and 3rd, but that was with the lower down, the higher downforce, slower cars. Back in 2018, which I think compares here a little better. You're looking at 23rd, 28th, and a 21st. So, does that trend continue? You're him coming in at 15%. You're like, okay, I'm building 20 teams, and I'm just going to fade Bowman. I think Bowman's going to finish 15th, and not kill me, but not get me there, which I think has a pretty decent chance of happening. Him finishing about where he started could happen. So, again, in tournaments, a way to kind of get different, or if you think he's going to get you a top 10, you play a ton of Bowman. But I think these guys are going to be the ones you can kind of get different with. Kurt Busch got you a total of 6 laps yesterday and then put it in the wall. Got you a negative 27 starting 9th. This new kind of back 20 placing kind of matrix that they're using helped him. He finished 40th yesterday, and if it would have been the old way, he would have been starting 40th, and we would have been playing like 85% Kurt Busch, I'm sorry. But starting 28th, it's okay. I still think Kurt's going to garnish a ton of ownership just because everybody's like, all right, he's an $8,300 place differential. Kurt Busch has top 10 upside if he keeps it clean. Pretty solidly should be able to finish somewhere between 15th to 18th and get you like 10 spots at $8,300. So you'll love that. Clint Boyer starting 15th. Clint yesterday was like really solid. Started 4th, finished 6th, but still got you a 40 at $7,800. Like, from a DFS perspective, he was phenomenal. I mean, his whole race, he just kind of stuck it in there. He was staying inside the top 15, pretty consistently. So, Boyer, it's like he was like, I think, 5th in green flag speed. So you're taking a dart throw at Clint Boyer, who probably will be the 20-25% owned because people are hoping for like a top 5 again out of him. Again, you don't have to play that if you want to play way under. But I think if you're building multiple teams, you're going to get a piece of them either way. It's just how much.
Yep. Bowman was moved to the rear.
Oh, yeah, my bad, wrecked. But still 28th. It's not a huge difference. Bowman, you would have got at, I think Bowman was somewhere in that 15% range. If anything, it drops him down to like 10. It's not going to be a huge difference. I still think people will be like, Bowman's got top 10 upside. And if he's starting in the back, he's going to pass. He'll be in the low 30s or high 20s, within the first few laps, if he's able to keep, and not lose a lap. Losing a lap would just crush his day. But if he's able to stay on the lead lap, he's hoping that it rains, which it looks like it might, so that they get the competition caution at lap 25. So that even worst case scenario, who gets lapped, he's going to probably the lucky dog, get his lap back and just try to continue on the lead lap and kind of fight through the field. Like I said, Clint Boyer. Yeah, we wrapped out the AK ring. So yeah, my bad. I forgot Bowman and Kurt Busch to the rear, but they'll be scored from those positions. But it doesn't really crush either of them. Like I said, Bowman, it might limit him a few percent. Kurt Busch, I don't think it's going to do much at all because he's still got top 15 upside. So,
gotcha. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. That'd be greatly appreciated. But let's go on to the 7K range. We've got 6 drivers here with Chris Buescher up at the top at 7,900, down to Cole Custer at 7,100.
So the 7K range, Chris Buescher, unless I'm building 15,000 teams, I don't think he's making any. So next, William Byron starting 23rd. Again, yesterday wasn't really impressive. Started 8th, finished 28th, got you a -1 point. Can they make some corrections? Maybe get some data from Chase Elliott to figure something out. Probably going to be like 10 to 15% ownership. But, with Byron, you're like, okay, well, he's starting 23rd. Like, it's $7,700. You get me a top 15 or so. I'm happy with that. So again, you could get different if he's at like 15%. It's like you're going to say, okay, I think he's going to crush people, so I'm just going to fade him at 15%, or I'm going to play 25 or 30% of him in tournaments. Depends on how much you trust him. Michael McDowell, 25th, kind of the same boat. Probably going to have a little bit more ownership. Oh, my bad. They're right around the same boat, right around that 10% mark. McDowell just continues to be blah. He did good on the road course last week, started 30th, finished 10th, but that's a road course. Pretty consistently around the top 20 finish. So McDowell, he's priced up. Like, I'm not even going to pay that for him. So, again, McDowell on small ends, like if you're doing a few entries, these are where you can really try to keep your core tight if you're only building a handful of teams. You can get rid of those guys if you don't trust them or make them a staple of your lineup. But, McDowell, I think you're going to get Byron probably right in that 10% range. You don't need to go there. Ricky Stenhouse at 7,300's pretty interesting. You're going to get Stenhouse probably around that 15% range because people are like, all right, Stenhouse at $7,300, you can either lead a handful of laps and finish inside of the top 10, or you're going to finish top 5 to get you there. I mean, even finishing around where he started again would get him there. He finished 9th yesterday. Quietly made us money. I have a little bit of Stenhouse. I wasn't crazy on Stenhouse, but I think Stenhouse ended up being like 25%. I think I was like 35 or 40 because I was like, all right, I trusted. He was going to have that race starting that deep. Austin Dillon starting 6th, $7,200. You got him yesterday at $8,700. So you're like, shit, I'll take a $1,500 price savings from a guy that just scored me a 70 yesterday. Like I said, quietly was the 3rd dominator. all the way from the back of the field. But you get him from 6 now. So Austin Dillon, again, where you can get a little bit different than the rest of the field. He's going to be at like 10%. If you think Austin Dillon's the guy that's going to lead the first, a chunk of this first stage, say 25, 30 laps, and be able to finish inside of the top 10 at $7,200, like you're pretty stoked about that. And Cole Custer starting 10th, kind of the same boat. Custer, I think, is definitely going to be right around the same ballpark of ownership. And, Custer, you're like in the, maybe a few Dominator points in the top 10, or get you 2-3 spots at $7,100 to get you there. And he finished 10th yesterday, so you don't hate that.
Yep. Let's go down to the 6K range. We got another 7 drivers here. It's Christopher Bell at 6,900, starting 24th, down to Bubba Wallace, starting 26 at $6,000.
Yeah, so like I said, you're going to be really top heavy, and this is where you're going to be forced down to for at least 1 or 2 guys if you're taking a couple of guys over 10K. Christopher Bell, you look and you're like, fingers crossed, he's 24th, like for $6,900. I need you to finish like top 15. Can you do it? Started 18th, finished 22nd yesterday. Like, I need better than that. Was not very fast at all. I think he was on green flag speed. I think he was like 15th on green flag speed. So if you can do that and kind of reenact that and get me like a 15th at $6,900, you'll take a big stab at that. But again, like Christopher Bell, 15-20%. Ownership always kind of scares me. Again, Christopher Bell, if you think he's going to finish 20th, which is what he did yesterday, you fade him, on small entry stuff, or you limit your ownership on your multiple teams, or you say, okay, listen, I'm going to take a 25 or 30% stab at Christopher Bell because I think a top 15's in the future, and which is also doable. MDB at $6,800. Again, this is where you can get different on these guys. MDB people, I think he's going to be the highest owned of these top 10 just because you're like, all right, he's on the pole. I only need you to do what the shitty pole sitters have been doing, which is like 15 to 20 laps, and then you finish inside of the top 10. Finished 20th yesterday. I had a little bit of him yesterday starting 14th, and he ended up finishing 20th, only get me a 24. So that kind of sucked. MDB was a little disappointing yesterday. It'll be in the same boat as far as ownership, I think, because people are like, all right, you just lead the first 20 laps of this race and finish in the top 10. Ryan Newman, much lower owned, has just as good of a shot to potentially get around MDB and kind of be that, kick in the nuts MDB gets and, only scores you like a 30 or 40 and he finishes in the top 10. Or, Ryan Newman goes out and leads the first 20 laps of this race and finishes like 15th, getting $200 cheaper. Like I said, MDB is probably going to be close to 20%. You're going to get Ryan Newman at probably sub 10%. So beautiful pivot off of MDB. You're playing on the drag race right there at the start. Who's going to hit the commitment line first, and who's going to get where they want to go faster? Tyler Reddick starting 8th. Kind of really in that same thing as these other guys. He's one of these like 15% or less owned potential dominators. At $6,500, Tyler Reddick finishes where he starts, or even in the top 10, he probably gets you there. You just don't lose me a ton of spots. Just kind of stick where you're at, or maybe sneak a few 15, 20 Dominator points like fastest laps or something like that to get you there. And I think those guys will be limited because you've got kind of a little bit safer play at Kenseth in 22nd. Like, you're getting Kenseth on the second day, somebody that really likes to have practice. All right, so I gave you practice. Like, you weren't impressive yesterday. You finished 22nd or 23rd. I'm sorry, and you started 26th. At 7K yesterday, you're only getting me 25 points. It was like, okay, you gave me 4x. You didn't kill me, but you didn't impress me. At $6,300 again, Kenseth probably close to 15th or so. He's going to smash, and you're going to get him at, like I said, mediocre ownership, probably 20-25%. So again. If you think Kenseth is going to finish 15th or better, you go 30, 40% in your teams and kind of say, okay, that's one of my base 6K guys that's going to help me build with the rest of my team that I want. And then you got John Hunter Nemechek probably in that same ballpark. I hate chalk Nemechek because there's been, I think, 3 or 4 times he's been fairly chalk being deep, and I played him all 4 times, and he's crushed me twice, and he's taken me to the promised land twice. So, it's like Ricky Stenhouse. You're throwing a dart at it, hoping to God he can just finish somewhere in the top 15 or so at 6,100 to smash. And then kind of the same thing with Bubba Wallace. Again, wasn't impressive yesterday. Started 24th, finished 27th. Like, not somebody that's very good here. So again, you're not asking a whole ton out of him. Usually finishes right around 23rd or so. If you think that's just going to continue, you just fade the dude completely. Or if you think he can get you 6, 8, 7, 10 spots or whatever, you play a little more above it. Probably around 15% is what I think he's going to be projected at. And again, you can get different with him because he's cheap. You're like, I only need 10 spots at 6K. You're going to be my placeholder so that I can stuff in like Hamlin and you can stuff in Hamlin and Harvick or Hamlin and Kyle Busch or Hamlin and Hamlin I think is going to be the most popular. You're building your base of your team. You can go down to a 6K guy. Let you spend a little bit more and kind of pull some of these pieces in the middle in.
Exactly. Anybody below 6K doing anything for you?
Ty Dillon's easy enough to X out starting 3rd. Daniel Suarez, if you think he's just going to finish 26th, 27th and not kill you, maybe you could go there. Don't think Suarez is going to garnish any real ownership. Probably 15% tops, I think, because it depends on how top-heavy your lineup is. Corey LaJoie, probably in that 20% range. But again, it's 20% Priest, 20% LaJoie is the scariest thing in the world. It's like they're chalk because you're spending 10K on 2 guys. And now you could spend down on 2 guys and be able to maybe get some 8K guys in the middle for the rest of your team. So maybe those 2, but everybody else, Timmy Hill, JJ Yaley, Josh Bilicki, Joey Gase, Reed Sorensen, Garrett Smithy, Brennan Poole. I think yesterday, see what their value was. It was horrible. PJ McLeod got you -7 points, started 40th. Like, come on. It's just, they were horrible. Reed Sorensen got you at 2. Brennan Poole got you at 2. Timmy Hill got you an 8.5. You don't need to be down there. Quinn Hoof, he crushed for you. You got a 13. Joey Gase got you a 12. Like, why would you waste your money on that? Like I said, it's all you could take those other. Like, if you need to spend $5,500 or $5,600, you can take a Priest or LaJoie. Probably wouldn't play both of them together unless I really, 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 really had to, because I don't think both of them are getting there. One of them does. And, hooray! Hopefully, you had that one.
Yep. So that's it for the driver breakdown. Before you were going to rank those 10K guys.
Yeah.
Before we do that, we got a couple questions, so that way we can get the questions. Then we'll do that. But Jim Parrish asked, "Would you play Boyer and Kenseth today?"
Boyer and Kenseth?
He said Boyer, but I'm assuming he meant Boyer.
Boyer and Kenseth together. I don't see any reason why you couldn't. I like the price on Boyer. You don't need a ton. And Kenseth is just cheap. If you think Kenseth's going to get you 6, 7, 8 spots, I can see you going there. Kenseth, they're going to be both fairly popular. I guess it really depends on the rest of your team. Let me see what happens. If you take Kenseth and you take Boyer, it's you almost 9K for your other 5. Take the chalk of Hamlin. I think I'd go grab, potentially like just to save a little bit more money, go grab like an MDB for an early dominator. I could still take 2 more guys over 9K. Let you build a little bit more balanced. It depends here. Maybe go grab Chase Elliott at 10.9. What's that leave me? 72. And you could still take a pretty safe Christopher Bell or something like that. Still have a little bit of cash left over. So, yeah, I don't see any problem taking the 2 of them. I wouldn't go 100%. Wouldn't play them together on every team, but you're building a single entry team or a couple lineups, sure, no problem with
that. Gotcha. He did ask another question. I tried every way to put 3 Dom in, but the only way I can make 7 lineups of 2. What do you think of this?
I don't think you need 3 dominators today unless you're ranking people like Hamlin and Harvick and Truex and Elliott in your dominator group, even though they have more place differential upside that you're looking for, coupled with only a little bit of dominator points. If you're looking for traditional dominators, guys starting inside of, say, the top 10, top 12, you don't need 3 of those, man. You're going to be real different today if you're playing that way. But like I said, if you're taking traditional guys inside of the top 12, I probably wouldn't take more than 1, 2 if you want to get real different. And, you know what I'm saying, you think, say Blaney and MDB lead, 30, 40 laps of this first stage each and finish inside of the top 10, you're like, all right, that's how I can get different. And, you'll get some lower ownership on that. But yeah, 3 dominators, unless you're taking those place differential guys. If you're saying 3 expensive guys, yeah, it's tough. Like I said, if you're sticking in that 10K range, I think you're going to commit to at least 1 or 2 of these guys, probably 10K or above. And then, like I said, it's going to force you down into the basement to take some of these plays that you probably wouldn't play. Like I said, a LaJoy, a Priest, a Suarez, Bubba, Nemechek, these guys in the low 6Ks that are quote unquote safe. But anybody under 6K that's going to be over 20% owned is always a little bit scary for me because you're still taking a stat. They're 6K for a reason. Again, you don't get a ton out of them, but you need something.
Yep. That's all the questions for right now. Want to rank those 10K guys real quick?
Yeah, 1 second here. My paper, so I'll jump it up. So, these place differential guys that you're looking for, these expensive guys, probably Hamlin's number 1, Truex would be 2, Chase Elliott 3, Kyle Busch 4, Kevin Harvick 5. Those guys that you're looking at. Again, it's hard to take. You want to take all of them, but you just can't. So it's gonna like I said, it's gonna push you into some of these guys. Like I think you're gonna take 1 to 2, and then you're gonna try to get a little bit different. And your guys in the middle, like taking, like I said, a potential dominator that's inside of the top 5, top 10 is cheap, or taking some of these cheaper place differential spot like plays that your fingers are crossed for 7, 8, 10 spots, and it's gonna be a tough road for them. But that's where you're at as far as your salary that you have left.
Gotcha. Jim Parrish has thoughts on Kez today.
So you're going to get Keselowski, like I said, at 15% ownership. You like the 12th place. So again, he's one of those guys where you can spend down a little bit and still get somebody that's got top 5 upside. I think for Keselowski, for you to be happy, he's either going to have to practically win this race or get some laps led and finish inside of the top 10. So you're going to get him at lower than Harvick, Truex, Elliott, or Hamlin, and he's cheaper. And Kyle Busch is going to be more popular probably as well. So, in the 10K, he's probably the lowest owned. And again, another way you can get different in, mass entry tournaments. If you think Keselowski's going to finish 5th and lead 30, 40 laps, then you're like, all right, I'm going to play 25, 30% of them, and try to get different on the rest of your team. And, say Harvick goes out and finishes 12th, doesn't do that for you. Harvick finishes 10th, probably doesn't get you there. And Truex, same thing. Truex finishes 10th, he's not going to get you there. Chase Elliott finishes 10th, he's probably not going to get you there. Denny Hamlin finishes 10th, he's not going to get you there. These guys are chalk for a reason because, at least 1 or 2 of these guys is probably going to finish in the top 5, if not all 4 of them. And it's going to be price per dollar, and return is going to be the difference of why you should have taken these guys.
Then Ronald Carr asked, best play on FanDuel.
Let me look this up. FanDuel. Didn't even have FanDuel open. My bad, guys. Overall, still think Denny Hamlin's the best play. Again, just because you're not asking the world out of him starting 20th. I mean, the place differential doesn't mean as much like it does on DraftKings, but again, Denny Hamlin finishes 5th and/or gets you some laps led in this race. He can get you there. Probably second after him. I think people might lean on Kyle Busch or Kevin Harvick. You're just expensive. As far as value plays, you like the place differential upside for Kurt, probably. You're hoping for like a top 15 finish. And, as we all know, the thing for FanDuel is you need to get all 5 of your guys in the top 10, preferably. Or Kurt Busch getting you 10, 15 spots is huge. That's really the only thing that matters. Dominator points don't mean squat. Let's see who's the cheapest play over here. Which probably wouldn't go any lower than if you really wanted to spend down and just stack the hell out of the top of your lineup, you could take Reese at 4K, take LaJoy at $3,500 if you think LaJoy is going to get you 15 spots and somehow crush and get 15. It'd be sneaky as hell. But I don't think you're probably going to have to go much lower than like Matt Kenseth or Ricky Stenhouse at 6K. I think you can stay up in this. It's just too easy to build teams on FanDuel. The way you get different is just literally nailing the right combination. That's it. You see like first and cashing is like 30 points. Like it's not a huge difference.
Yep. Jim Perry says, who do you think will win the race?
Who should win the race is Denny Hamlin. I'm sure he's the number one for Vegas. You want to get sneaky, Kyle Busch maybe. It depends on the odds. We'll look at the odds. So, winning the race probably, it could be Harvick, it could be Truex, it could be Chase Elliott, it could be Denny Hamlin, it could be Kyle Busch, could be Jimmy Johnson. I think would be another wild stab at it. Throw 10 spot at it to win like 250 probably on somebody like Jimmy Johnson at 1,500 or 150. Probably a super swing would be MDB if you think somehow he's just able to keep it out front all day long. Stenhouse maybe. It's going to be these guys. If you're taking swings, you're looking for these guys that are potentially in or out of the playoffs. Eric Almirola, Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, Clint Boyer, MDB, Jimmy Johnson are all in right now, but don't have wins. So, any of those guys, if they're going to play some crazy strategy, as we saw yesterday even with the high horsepower, low downforce package, there wasn't a lot of wrecks again. And they're going fast, and nobody's getting really knocked out. So green flag stops is where all the variance came yesterday. Harvick with that issue early and having to repit again, start from the back, and is kind of fighting his way back to the front after being in like 5th in that first half, so in the first stage. So those guys that aren't safe, or these guys that aren't in, William Byron, Eric Jones, Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, Chris Booker, and Ricky Stenhouse, like these guys are going to take swings. These are the guys that you're getting at probably plus 1,500 or more. And, if you want to throw a few bucks at them and try to, sneak one of those, 20 to 1s or 60 to 1 odds, like to win, like, sure, I don't see any problem doing it.
Gotcha. Jim Parrish should say, you're not saying much about Truex.
No, Truex is chalk as hell. I mean, Truex was good. He's 35%. Again, he's a staple of your lineup. You're hoping top 5 upside or some dominator points in top 5, top 10 is going to be a smash spot for Truex. He was the number 2 dominator yesterday. So you're looking for the same thing out of him that you got from him yesterday. Truex started 3rd, finished 2nd, 33 fastest laps, 88 laps led, 82 fantasy points. Like, you go out and give me a 7X again like that and just be the number 1 scorer, sure, I'll take a ton of Truex. I think personally for me, because Truex is so chalk, I might Harvick. I feel like should have done better. I think you can in tournaments lean maybe more on Harvick, even though you're spending more, and kind of go lower on Truex to get different. Because like I said, Truex can be 30-35%.
Gotcha. That looks like it's it. So we'll end the show there. It was another good show. Hopefully everyone does well. Always join us at White Stick for any more live streams. Always like, subscribe. You can hit up Tom in the Slack chat if you have any questions on Twitter at kartracing_22. Thank you for everybody that liked and subscribed. Everyone, good luck and peace out.
Yes.